offline. Okay, so Spreaker's recording now. I'll play an intro.
I'm getting the intro come through.
Can you hear that now?
Yeah.
Why can't you see?
Here we go. I've just got a feed. Yeah, we're live. To watch this video on your TV screen.
Oh, are we? Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, we're just sort of we're teching our way through this. We're trying to go live on Facebook with some cameras. We've got 4 viewers, and I'm not sure if you're one of them, CB. I'm not. We've got 9 viewers. Holy shit, this is potentially going a bit further than I thought. Welcome, everyone, to the weekly pod. We're having a crack at something a little bit different. Yeah, PJ. Evening, gents. Evening, PJ. So the chat comes through. I'm not sure. Can you guys see that? Tiggs and CB?
I can't see it on Twitter. Just say we've actually gone live.
No, I haven't. I didn't know it was going to work, to be honest. Richmond Jenny, g'day, fellas. Carl, wow, this is working better than I thought. Can everyone hear us okay, first and foremost? Ashman calling us kings. I'm just going to... I can't get caught up in reading comments for a whole night. But yeah, people could let us know if this is working, so that'd be great. Welcome to a Monday night pod. The first attempt we've had at using some cameras. See how we go there. It might be interesting, it might not be. Gents, how are we? Look at your background there, CB.
Good.
You like it? So there's my drum kit, and this is my office. This is where I spend a lot of my life, actually, with work and things like that. So, and every Monday night, apparently. So yeah, this is my humble little abode.
So you can go on a bit of a drum solo for us later.
I had a crack at today. I had a crack at Split Ends. I got you and Icehouse Electric Blue, and let me tell you, I butchered them badly, but I don't care. It was fun.
Hey, that's all it's got to be. Tiggs, how are you, mate?
I'm good. A little bit embarrassed. I didn't think I would use my camera today. And, so this is me in going to bed mode. So, but going to bed mode. But, yeah, no, good. Yeah, good.
Apologies if people see me looking down at my phone. I'm just reading the agenda off there. So for anyone wondering, I'm not being rude. I'm just finding the agenda points. Go on.
Yeah, no, crazy day. People are acting like the sky's falling and all that jazz. But yeah, it really sparked up and got a lot interesting about fucking 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. Yeah. I was a bit shocked when someone said to me that we're going to be without Bolton. Is it confirmed that Rioli, is he going to be missing as well? Is that, I haven't sort of read one way or another. I know Bolton for sure. Okay, so it's just Bolton.
No, he's playing.
Right.
But look, we won't miss Bolton. We have another great forward in Arts, so we'll be fine.
What about a midfielder? We've got CB, you'll be suiting up to play midfield this week.
Yeah, we'll be right.
I can tell you, sorry for my language, but I just, as if life isn't hard enough and everything we're going through, and I understand they were defending Rioli's girlfriend and all that, but just, it's turning into a bit of an annus horribilis at the moment, and we're just about to get into a big boy month, and our midfield has got wiped out. We got Dustin Martin and everybody else. Like, I don't know how the hell we're going to shape a midfield this week, but it is what it is. And
you know what's funny, Go ahead, CV. Go ahead, mate.
I was just going to say, we've been asking for a long time to see the kids and get them in. Well, you know what? If we have a down year and we get a few games with a few kids, I'm not really that upset with it, if that makes sense. See what they've got.
Well, look, remember the Port game 2 years ago? We didn't have a midfield, and we got up and had a stirring win. So, look, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater yet. We really just have to get to the bye at 6 and 6. That's the, even if we get 7 and 5, we don't want to be any. So 5 and 7, we're still good enough to go on a really big roll because our draw really opens up after West Coast. So it's actually opening up now. We should beat GWS. They've got injuries too. They've got suspensions to key personnel too. They're not but yeah, look, the only thing, if it was any other side, supporter of any other side, I'd be stressed. But we never really worry about our midfield overly much anyway. If you look at all of our games, even our successful periods, our back line is so good in repelling attacks. That's how we beat Port and came so close to Port. The other time we had all these injuries when we seemed to always go over there, it keeps us in the hunt. So But, you know, I'm like you said, I'm super excited to see the kids, you know. You can go Ralph Smith, get him to go for a run. He screams midfielder. Nash gets a full game. You know what I mean? You know,
he's
kick
on
about
Nash
18
Wash,
goals,
really.
no pressure.
Well,
I think we should
kick
just put Toby Dan Curvis as a midfielder and just let him just poleaxe as many people as he can. Just bring in CCJ.
PJ said he reckons that.
I really think it's going to sharpen our counter-attacking game. It's going to get us back to basic of what made us really, you know, that slingshot football. That's what it's going to really, really sharpen, because that's what we're going to need to do to be competitive.
It just hurts because it's a game we have to win. That's probably the frustrating part. So as PJ put on the chat, reckons the Tigers will use this as fuel to lift. Think the Port game 2 years ago, which is exactly what you said there, Tig. So hopefully it bands all the boys together. But yeah, just bad timing.
Well, you know what? Let's just get into it, rightio. We might as well talk about it. So last weekend we did play a game of football
for a half,
and
anyway.
Unfortunately we played half a game.
Yeah,
and then the umpires went in dry. I'll say it. Umpires were disgraceful, and we got rolled by more than 4 goals. That's all I'll say. I won't talk about the margin. We got beaten pretty badly. I don't really have too much to say on it other than, again, I've been harping for ages. We need a second ruck in there. Marlon is not working as a ruckman. I know he has some highlights, but I just prefer him seeing as a pure midfielder in there. And midfield was inexperienced. It just got caught out not working back hard enough for long enough to give our defence a bit of a chop out. And once again, small forwards, apart from Jake Arts, where the hell are they? So that's pretty much my whole summarisation. I'll let you guys talk about it now. But, you know, and to lose Edwards to a medium-term injury and now Bolton with a busted wrist, like, fuck. We're cursed. But anyway, I'll let you boys talk about it now. I've said enough.
The most disappointing part for me was they completely screwed our live call for the second half, only kicking 1 goal. That really killed the mood for that. But, yeah, I don't know. The first half, it seemed like we were doing all right, and it just kind of looked like the traditional game where we'd start to pick up in the third quarter like we usually do. But the Cats worked us out and went bang, 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 and their big forwards did the damage, and Gary Rowland looked like a superstar, which, yeah, was a little bit annoying, but you got to give credit to the Cats. They were just far superior on the night, I guess, Tiggs.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was disappointing. The first half we maintained our shape. As soon as the Cats, during the call I was screaming, you know, we're too narrow, they're getting us out wide. And it showed. The way I sort of see it, basically you could tell they set themselves up because this is a must-win game. Every club tends to have 1 or 2 a year that they draw a line in the sand. They knew we were exposed. We didn't have Grimes. Our midfield it was still pretty weak, you know, without Cotchin and without pressure and the like. But really, the Geelong game highlights to me how important Cotchin is to us. If he was playing, he would have probably about 5 minutes into that third quarter, he would have stopped it. He would have said, nah, and he would have done something to, you know, kickstart us again. But look, when your back line is dropping sitters, when you're losing shape front of the ball, any team will beat you. And I think Jack Rewalt said it best. You know, if we had just taken those marks, you know, we cost 4 goals from direct backfield play in the first half when we were on front. So it was not all doom and gloom for me. You know, give them the win, which is good. They beat us, I believe, the last time they beat us, we won the grand final. So, you know, it's a good omen.
Yeah. Question for you, gentlemen. If you recall, was it the last year, the year before, Mick, and I think you were talking about the structures. Remember our on-balls were getting sucked into the contest and people were getting us on the outside, and we adjusted for the North Melbourne game. We played a couple outside and it gave us that spread, and we sort of turned around a little bit. Are you noticing that again with the way we're playing? Are we getting sucked in a bit too much to the ball, which is leaving us exposed either the side or behind?
When you say, you just call me by my real name, yeah, Mick, Michael, yeah. Steve, you're referring that to me?
Tiggs, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you said Mick. I thought you might have been referring Michael.
Oh, yeah, sorry, boss. Sorry.
You've got to keep professional, buddy. You know, how can I fly like an eagle when surrounded by glass, people? But you're right. You're spot on. And it happens, though, when you have a young midfield, we're still continuing pushing our half forwards really high. So our half forwards are getting sucked in as well. and they were exposing us on the outside. But look, what's good, we fixed it before, we can fix it again. Look, the way I am, I'm bullish on this, and I'll keep on repeating it till proven otherwise. We have proven time again that we can reset mentally. Once we get all these injuries which are happening now are awful, right? But how many sides would love their guns to go into the last half of the year rested? You know what I mean? So that's actually the blessing we have. That's what gives us a lot of momentum. So come around 14, 15, 16, 17, when it heats really on and stars are bashed around a bit and all this sort of stuff, our guys are cherry ripe. They're fresh. And we should be able to repair a lot of our percentage. Our percentage is getting hammered at the moment. The Geelong game didn't help that. Yeah. But when we just have to suck it up. I'm sure Dimmer's going to, I had a bit of a word with, it's not a coach at a club, he's at a coach at another club, but today, if anyone doesn't know, I've got a new job. So I've had a lot of feedback. This is really, really good. And he sort of alluded to me that he's not worried about us at all. Not one bit. We just got to get that experience in CB, and that'll keep us our shape in front of the ball and keep us from getting sucked in completely. That's why, a couple of podcasts ago, you mentioned we were talking off air about how great it will be for RCD if he stays permanently in the centre, because that will free up your Martin Edwards outside of that ring, in a centre ring. And that's what will keep our shape. Once your magic is, your creators are outside, like Bolton or Martin, they don't have to go inside. That allows, that encourages the spread, it encourages to keep our shape, and that's what's going to be so good going forward. But obviously now we're in a bit of the shit.
All right, I've got some stats we'll go through. I'll get your thoughts on this. So I'm reading from my phone, people. Welcome to all the new listeners as well. Thank you for joining us. Efficiency inside 50. This is just criminal. Richmond 37.2%. Our 2021 average is 45.9, so well down. Contested possession, Richmond 115, Geelong 147, and our average is 132, so well down again. Marks inside 50, Richmond 6, Geelong 20. Geelong's average is 12.5, so they were way above, and ours is 12.3, so we were half of that. And tackles inside 50, Richmond 4 and Geelong 19 CB. It just reads like an outworked type of game in the second half.
Well, you know what? Credit to Chris Scott. We got out-coached and outworked. As simple as that, those numbers tell you we got out-coached and we got outworked. And we've got a couple of blokes down on form. We know this. But at the end of the day, the one thing... Well, hello. Something popped up on the screen.
Sorry, I'm pushing buttons. Sorry. So there we go. Now I know that works. Sorry, CB. I've interrupted.
I just think, look, in this case, yeah, it was we got out-coached, outworked, and they say you learn more from your losses. Well, we've got a lot of young kids in there, and they would have learned against remember, a team that played in last year's grand final. So it isn't all doom and gloom, and long-term our kids will be better for this.
Absolutely. Shout out to Michael. As you can see the message on the screen. Great podcast. Love your stuff. Thank you, Michael. Look how tech-savvy I am, boys. How's that? I'm on fire. All right, with that said, we'll get into the bloodbath. We can't play the intro because YouTube doesn't like it, CB, but give us to us, baby.
You know what I could have done with a bloodbath? I could have done something like a bit of this. Hang on. Can you hear that?
It's quiet. Jump on the drums. Play yourself an intro.
I've been a bit of a dickhead there. I was just saying Spotify coming. Look, actually, I haven't really got a bloodbath, if I'm honest with you. I just want to say this. To all the Richmond supporters who just go mental online and embarrass themselves after a loss, calm your farm. You look like fuckwits. Seriously. When you see across certain Facebook pages and that, it's actually embarrassing. Like, we've come off, in point of fact, we've had a really good decade of footy. If you look at our win-loss from 2013 onwards, I think we're the third most successful team in the league, right behind Hawthorn and Geelong for games won. And to see these people react the way they do after a loss, like, just get a grip. You're just embarrassing yourselves and you look like absolute knobs. What you should do is appreciate what you got. We've had a lot of success, and appreciate now that we get the chance to look at RCD, Naish, Ross. We know Lambert, Pressure, all those guys are coming back in, right? We've got this little brief window to see what these guys can do. So calm your farms, just settle, don't be dickheads, relax, and just enjoy what's going to unfold next Saturday. We may not win next Saturday night. Doesn't matter. Just get back on board like we did back when Hardwick first took over, and we got on that wave and that ride, and look where it got us. That's all I'm saying. That's my bloodbath. Just Richmond people, calm down. You look stupid.
Yeah, very good, CB. Very well. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. Tiggs, the Den. What have you got for the Den?
Hold on, let me just play the intro because the producer's too lazy and doesn't rate me enough to do it. Make sure you people can hear it. That's an intro, mate.
I had the Tiger.
Can't wait for us to get sued.
This will be our first and last.
There we go. That's an intro. And I put less than 5 seconds so you shouldn't get copyrighted done. See? My Tiger Den that I really wanted to focus on, obviously with the Bolton news that's come out now, is going to impact it a little bit. But I really wanted to talk about our personnel that's out, right? And how does that impact us, particularly for the next 4 games? Because that's really crucial. This is the month. We need to win at least half of them. We're sitting on 4 wins. So we need to pull it out of our arse to win the next, we need to win 2. Who we got? We got GWS. I haven't got the fixture in front of me. CB, your fixture guru.
Have you left something on, Tiggs? There's a slight echo over you. Did you change anything when you did your intro?
Oh, yeah. Put the speaker on. Hold on. How's that? Better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the speaker on. Yeah, my wife brought me a Dolby Logitech surround sound speaker system.
For the office. So Tiggs, GWS at Marvel.
Yep.
Then we've got Brisbane Lions at the Gabba.
Yep.
Then we've got Adelaide at the MCG.
Yep.
And then you got the Bombers in Dreamtime. So point of fact, we could lose 2, then win the back end.
Yeah.
Leaving us 6 and 6, like you said.
That's right. Exactly right. That's my point. Now, with the personnel that we've got out, what's really good, like sort of CB mentioned at the start, I'm going to give a couple of names, right, that I reckon we'll get a crack through these 4-week period. And it's actually not all doom and gloom. So we've got Garrett McDonald, 24 disposals, 6 months, 3 tackles. It's McDonough. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's someone to look at that we can probably bring in. Is he actually a listed one or is he a VFL player?
I reckon he's VFL.
I think he's VFL. Anyway,
he won't be far off with the injuries we've got.
I know, but look, Patrick Nace, obviously, his 6 rebound 50s is going to be important. We might have to put Velocity in the guts for periods of time. We might even get a bit smarter and put Baker full-time in the guts. I reckon that it's going to be, we're going to find players here. We're going to find extra strings to their bow that we didn't realise that they had when they're put under an extreme amount of pressure to have to step up. So I'm actually excited about it. I urge anyone that's listening to this or any Richmond supporter, don't get caught up on the win-loss in these 4 weeks. Yes, we need to win 2, right? But just watch the game and just look at the kids and look at players playing out of position because that's what we're going to be forced to do. And what's really rare is to have this be in a position of growth in a time where we can actually still not lose the season because I'm still bullish that we can beat GWS. If not, we'll get done by Brisbane, let's say. But we should beat Adelaide, right? Even with our outs, they've got a lot of injuries, and we should beat Essendon. So, because we always beat Essendon. So, and I still think we'll beat GWS. So, if we win 3 out of the 4, and then in round 13, we're getting all of our players back, it's going to be a completely different narrative. But I'm looking forward to see, Hugo, Ralph Smith coming in, Will Martin getting another crack. And maybe we played him in the back when he shouldn't have been in the back. Maybe he'd be good to put as a negating tagger, run around with someone. Sydney Stack. I seriously think Sydney Stack is a type of player that just motors along in the VFL but plays AFL. And if he knows, how hungry will he be? Oh, shit, I've got 4 weeks. Edwards is not on the side. I've got no risk of being dropped. I'm going to just play because I know we'll make finals. I'm going to give the best I can. So this is going to inject. Thomas Downs, another one. Everyone's talking about CCJ. Ben Miller.
If he doesn't come in, I'm going to fucking spew my guts up. He's got to come in.
Yeah, look, the thing with CCJ, this is me. I mentioned I spoke to my coaching mate. He does checks a lot of the VFL, a lot of it. He's not a very good ruck. He's not. His ruck craft is poor. And this is from Oppos looking at him. Like there's potential there. He's got a lot of athletic attributes, but his ruck work is poor. Look at his he's more a forward than a ruck. So if you want him in the side to be like a Soldo, he's not going to be. Period. And so you've got to, so you've got to say to yourself, okay, we go in with 3 tools. Have we got the ammunition upfield to go inside 50 often enough to supply 3 tools? That's going to be the questions the coach has got to make. I'm not a CCJ hater. I want him to go in. You know why I want him to come in to the side? On my children. I want him to come into the side so his value increases. Because from some of the noise I'm hearing, we could seriously strike gold from him with him in the off season. The one I'm excited to see, and I think we might do this, and I'm hoping we do this. You know how I've always been screaming, Bolter, stay in the back half. Don't go in the centre. Don't go in the centre. I'm hoping with Grimes in, with Vlosten back in, with having Short and Hawley in the side, we've got enough speed in the back line. I hope they give a young lad called Ben Miller a crack, get him to go in the back half, get Bolter to play as a permanent sediment wing. So he will be basically – now this is while we're injured, but what I mean by that, and the reason I'll explain it, CB, is you put Bolter as a second ruck, and when he's not playing ruck, he's floating – he could either float in the defence or as a centre-half forward. You can put him on the wing. But what my point is, we've got flex. We've still got – people say we have no depth. We have the depth. And all the work that the club has done the last 2 to 3 seasons in getting players to play multiple positions in the VFL before they come back in like a caddy, it should bear fruit. We'll get some rewards for that in the next 4 weeks. But my out-of-the-box thinking, mate, put Bolter in.
Remember when we put Alex Rance in the middle of a couple of years ago? It lasted a half. He went back to full back.
But it's different. It's different you do it for half a game or when you sit someone down and you say, you know what, Bolter, we need you, mate. We need you to create a contest in the centre and just use your asset, which is your long 60-metre kick. Get him on a wing. Get him on a wing. But if we could put Charles on a wing.
Defensively, we're getting hammered at the moment because of our midfield. So I think we need to put more square pegs in square holes, which is more midfield players in the midfield to work and learn their craft. Well, because Bolter's still learning defensively. He's only 2 years in. He's still learning his craft. So I wouldn't mess with his head too much, mate. I'd just keep him going into one direction.
I guess, well, look, I agree to disagree. I reckon we need to get going to the Ben Miller. I know. But we need to get going to the Ben Miller. Have you seen him?
Have
you seen Ben Miller play?
Not for a while.
You know what? He hasn't been good enough.
No, but have you seen him in the VFL?
I have seen him in the VFL, yes.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of players. In my journey. He's going to make it. He's got, excuse the language, he's got raw talent coming out of the arse. He reminds me of an Asprey when Asprey first got recruited before he did his knees. And he's a high intelligent player. He knows how to read the ball coming in, and he's a big lad too.
There's a clear reason we've kept him on the list for as long as we have, because if he didn't have anything, they would have given him the flick long ago, I reckon. So there's obviously something there.
Yeah, I like him.
I think Garth's spewing because if he hadn't have been injured, he probably could have come in to do some of that movement too, Mick. He could have come in and done something to free up one of our defenders into the ruck to be more mobile, but he's been out with a shoulder, I believe, so he hasn't played for a while.
The other one I'm excited about is Noah Cumberland. I think his stats last week when we got well beat, 2 goals, 9 disposal, 3 marks. If you wanted a forward in the side, I'd put Noah instead of CCJ. Look, I've got a left field for you. Jack and Lynch. When Jack was out injured, Lynch really just ripped the scruff of the neck, right? He did that. And if you remember back at the Port game when we had no midfield, he kicked 6 goals, right? I would probably say to Jack, you know what, Jack, you're second ruck.
Oh,
Jack's smart. Put Jack as a midfielder. Jack Regan, for the whole game. Listen to me.
You're throwing Rolls Royces into paddocks, mate. You don't do that to Rolls Royces.
But Jack Rewalt. See, what I'm trying to do is, if we're in this position we are, let's maximise it, right? If we want to get exposure to our kids and create that injection of hunger, and we're going to have serious pace brought into the side if we bring some of these kids in, and we recognise, okay, our backline's our strength to rebound attacks. So what we need in that midfield, CB, what we need more than anything in that midfield are footy brains. That's what we need in there. Yeah, so we hold our shape. One of the best coaches to help lead kids is someone like a Jack Rewell. I'm not saying he's a forward. He's always, people look at him going, oh, Tiger71, you've just been, your coffee, this must not be coffee, it must be full of alcohol. But what I'm saying is the growth the kid's going to have around Jack, you know, is huge. Hey, look, I think out the box, mate. That's what I do. But I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm not really scared about this month. I actually don't think this is a bad position for us to be in. Dynasties fall when they get comfortable and they become stale, right? This helps correct that, in my mind.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. That's a good take.
Yeah, you do, Mick. Mine's a bit less radical than yours. Rewalt to a wing and bring CC Jane as a second forward ruck.
Yeah, there's options there. It'd be interesting to see what the coaching staff do with it. But yeah, I'm not sure putting Jack into the centre. Yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit funny about that. But there's nothing wrong with all the theories being put out there. I know what you mean. You've got to get smarts around there. But
yeah, to get smarts around there. And look, Lambert's not fully. He hasn't got great pace, has he? But he makes it work.
Yeah, he's a smart
Jack
player.
is just a smart.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's food for
think it out the
thought.
box.
Food for thought. All right, Doug
when
team
you
of the
talk
week
on Facebook, you got subtitles on. Mick?
Does that happen for anyone else? Surely it's everyone.
No.
Well, fucking shame on you two blokes, because I think of the deaf people that want to listen. You know, put your captions on.
No, it comes up on mine too.
That's your device. That's not me.
All right, Dud team of the week, fellas. I feel dirty doing this.
You know what?
Oh.
Michaels, you're going to punch on me. I swear to God. if you read out
don't you ruin it. And it's not just me. It's a collective effort between three of us. One of them just takes pot shots at us, but that's okay. Dud team of the week,
I want their names and addresses. I want their names and addresses, mate.
I feel bad in reading some of these names out.
Time for Dud team of the week. Let's go.
I feel bad for some of these names, but I think collectively as a supporter base, we understand that some of our players weren't well performed on the weekend. The defenders for this week: Liam Baker, 20 disposals, 40% efficiency and 7 turnovers and 3 frees against. Bit uncharacteristic from Bakes, but that's not good enough. I can't even say this first name. Darragh Joyce, 9 disposals, 3 turnovers, 7 pressure acts in 105 minutes. Charlie Ballard, 13 disposals, 4 turnovers, 4 pressure acts. Lachlan Keefe, now I feel bad about this one because he did do his ACL late in the game, and that's not why he's in there. 6 disposals, 2 turnovers, and 4 pressure acts in 121 minutes. That's not good enough. Now, the Carlton millionaire half-back line is getting a nomination this week. Adam Sard, 91 minutes on the ground, 11 disposals, 46% efficiency, 6 turnovers out of those 11 touches, and 3 frees against. And Zach Williams, 100 minutes on the ground for 8 touches, 1 tackle, and 1 behind. And he's getting $800K a year to dish out that kind of shit. So they can take up the back line this week. The midfield and the rucks. So our ruckman this week is Caleb Graham. 6 disposals, 4 pressure acts in 92 minutes. Could you imagine if we were dealing with that output? This one hurts. Dustin Martin, 107 minutes, 21 touches, 7 turnovers, Dusty. You've got to be better. When there's no skipper there, you've got to do better than that. Mason Wood, 5 disposals, 2 turnovers. He's just shit all around, but we make him look good when he plays against us. Liam Shields, 93 minutes on the ground, 23 disposals, 9 turnovers, can you believe, fellas, for Liam Shields. Sam Berry, 99 minutes on the ground, 7 disposals for 14% efficiency and 1 free against. That is a genuine Barry Crocker, that is. And Jamie Cripps, I know he's labelled as a forward, but I've chucked him up on the wing because I needed to make space. 101 minutes, 11 disposals, 55% efficiency, and 9 turnovers for him as well. The forward line, this hurts me as well. Jack Rewalt, 114 minutes, 4 disposals, 3 turnovers. When the chips were down, we needed him to stand up and he didn't. Jason Castagna, I don't even need to read out the stats. I just need to say the shank of the year. That was one of the worst kicks of all time that anyone will have ever seen. And you couldn't do that again if you tried. Tom Lynch, 7 touches, 2 marks, 1 free against. See, and this is why we lost the game, fellas. Look, our forward line was just non-existent. This one's for Cooper on the other AFL Rumours page. Tim Membry, dud this week. 12 disposals, 4 turnovers. Jake Stringer, you'll like this one, fellas. 5 disposals at 20% efficiency. Unheard of. And the captain for this week, Tex Walker, 6 disposals, 4 of them turnovers. If you're going to do stupid dances in the change rooms before the game, you've got to put out better efforts than that on the field, I reckon. The bench, and I think this is where Tiggs is going to clip me. The bench, Emerson Jecker from the Hawks, he's gone back-to-back CB. I know you were a bit dirty on me last week on his debut, but he's backed it up with an 8 disposal game. 2 marks, 3 pressure acts, 1 tackle. Patrick Naish, Tiggs, 1 disposal, 0% efficiency. You were calling for 6 goals and to change the game. It doesn't matter. He didn't impact the game. 1 disposal.
Maybe he should have done an ACL,
No. Will Hamill, 12 disposals at 42% efficiency, 8 turnovers. And Eric Hipwood, 9 disposals at 44%. And our sub for this week is Jack Silvani, 5 touches for 60% efficiency, 2 turnovers. I know he's another one of your boys, Tiggs. And unfortunately,
he's having a great season when he gets on the park.
When he does, yeah. And the coach, as much as this kills me because he's brought us a lot of joy, I've had to go with Dimmer because we've won 3 of the last 4 flags and we did not score a goal in a half of football. We scored 1 goal in a half of football. I think that's just a little bit unacceptable, but he'll bounce back. We don't really hate Richmond. It's just a bit of a joke. People don't take it all seriously. But that's the dud team of the week, and Patrick Naish deserved to be there with no efficiency, Tiggs.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a no mercy rule. We take no prisoners.
Yeah. That's all right. Fair enough.
PJ Denholm, the chat's asking us to touch some wood. Look, PJ, I can't do it while the camera's on, mate. And this is a PJ show.
He also said he's George the new Richo for Shanks. I think that's a fair enough call too.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, listener questions. We'll get through these ones. The first one is for you, CB, from Grant Pollard on Twitter. Is it harder to develop a pure inside mid like RCD than a small forward? We've had a lot of success starting a small forward and expanding their role over 3 to 4 years' time. Are inside mid sink or swim, or are there ways to ease them into the midfield, as in a defensive role inside?
Geez, how do you answer that? I mean, hard to... Well, I think the things with midfielders, they show the traits very early on before they get into an AFL system, don't they? And then the AFL get them in the system, and then they enforce a style of play on them. So how Richmond develop our midfielders, I would imagine, is different to how Carlton are developing theirs, to Fremantle, etc., etc. I think the problem with crafting, say, a small forward is a small forward has to sink through basically 2/3 of a team into the back line now. It's not like the old days where, it was more positional. As a small forward, you'd be moving past the contest or going beyond for at the back. So the game has changed. I think the game has changed that much. It's very hard to answer that question. I think probably easy to develop an inside mid because of the structures and systems. I think it's probably harder to play small forward purely because of the numbers around you and the way you've got to work these days and the way they're confronted with. What do you reckon? Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, I think it's fair enough.
Sort of a little bit splinterish, but I just think because of congestion, the way the game's played now, particularly in forward lines, how can you be a small forward?
And also, too, it'd be easier to be an inside mid too because it's go ball, chase ball. Whereas half forwards, you play all game without getting a touch because you're doing all this defensive running. So if I had to answer the question, I'd say it'd be easier to develop an inside mid than it would be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Now, what have I got? So thanks for that, Grant. This is from PT Agar. Is Hardwick being stubborn in not playing a second ruck given the strategy worked well last year in shortened games with Nankervis and Soldo? Also, why did we revert back to long bombs in the forward 50 when Lynch looked so good leading at the ball carrier against the Dogs?
Good question, mate. Well, first of all, he's not being stubborn. People forget he played Soldo in 19, and Soldo is a premiership player. So the two-ruck model works for us. The problem we have, and this is the point that people got to realise, we just don't have the quality of depth. We just don't have it. People always talk about the white whale, which is CCJ, as being somehow going to be our second ruck. He's not. He hasn't got the tools for it. His timing of his leap is atrocious, apparently. And I'm believing what I've been told, and I've seen him live. Every player there does an opting quite good, but he's not consistently performs well at that level in the VFL level as a ruck. As a forward, it's a completely different story, but as a ruck, no. And then you've got to ask yourself something, well, our next valid option would be Chol. And Chol's been shown that he, in some cases, he's just a taller Marlon Pickett. But the difference with Chol, and this is no disrespect to the kid because I love him, he hasn't got Marlon Pickett's wants to get hit. Chol doesn't like the full-on physical smack. That sort of game. That's what we're sort of going on with Pickett. And that's Agar. That's one way of saying that Hardwick knows we need our second row. That's why he's throwing Pickett in there to give us a different look in the centre square. That's why second row is so good. So no, I don't think he's being stubborn. And as to our long bombs inside 50, the first thing happens when you're under extreme pressure. When it was a perfect storm for us. We were outnumbered in the centre. Our young kids didn't step up, which is going to happen. We played shit, right? So you've got Dusty trying to do everything and his game suffering for it. And if anyone's played football before, when you're under pressure and you're forward of centre, what do? You just kick it along. And that's what they were doing, to get it inside 50 as much as they could. And we were out of shape. We were trying to protect the defence, so we didn't have the forwards to really crumb off our tools, and our tools were crucified. So, yeah, we're heavily beaten in all facets of the game. So hence the reason why I reverted back to the padding kick into the forward line. And Michael's got a question for you from Greg.
Yep.
Who is our next captain? Significant lack of on-field leadership when we considered the first 2 to 3 goals from silly errors in the third quarter on Friday. This was obvious to see during the Swans D's cap losses. Also, where the fuck is Jack Ross at?
That's not what was written. No,
no.
You've done it a bit. Yeah,
I know what Greg's really feeling.
Yeah, I know. The on-field leadership's the on-field leadership's a good call, Greg. When you consider you've got Tom Lynch, who was a former captain, you got Jack Riord, who captained a few games for us, Edwards, Martin's a leader in his own right, not so much as a fully fledged captain, but all those guys kind of failed to step up and show the way when we needed it. And that's a bit alarming for me. But to answer the actual question, I think the next skipper will be Vlosten. But you could honestly throw a blanket over a few of them. I think Grimes has been thrown up there. Lambert was another nomination I've seen. Some people have even said Tom Lynch could slot straight into the role given his experience. But I just think Vlosten, I kind of view him like our Luke Hodge. And I feel like it's a pretty big play to be compared to, but just that general down back and the organisational skills. But if we sort of believe that Koch could be on his last year, we need to make sure there's a transitional program of some type to not miss a beat. And as for Jack Ross, I actually said in the in-game show that I thought the longer he keeps playing, the better he started to look. And I know a few people will disagree with that and think he looks out of his depth and you can put a line through him. But you've got to remember, he's been made sub for, 90% of our games. So he's got to get that continuity into his body in the game time, get used to the pace. Now's as good a time as ever to see him play, isn't it? We're a few plays short in the gut, so let's see what he's got for the next 4 weeks. CB, this is from Joe. Do you think that our easier draw after the bye will be a false lead into a finals campaign? I would rather a tougher draw in the back half, as it would harden us up leading into finals.
No, I think ask yourself a question. Would we be a better team with Edwards, Prestia, Lambert, and a couple of others in there? The draw's the draw. It's how it shakes out. Through a weird quirk of fate this year, Melbourne and Sydney and a couple of other teams are playing exceptional football. So they've come into the eight. Look, you've got to play everyone at some stage, and I think it's actually, in a way, it could help us because there is no such thing as an easy game of footy these days. But I think with our injuries, we've got players to come back. They're going to take a little while to get their wheels spinning. So to have a couple of soft games might actually get us going and lead us into a solid back end of the season, last sort of 5 or so rounds. So, no, I don't think it'll give us a false lead. I think it just gets miles into the players' legs that we need to get miles into. Look, I don't mind the fact that we've got a tough draw as well playing the kids. They're learning, right? So, no, I feel pretty comfortable with where things are at. But good question. From Dario Tiger, Tiggs. The games against Melbourne and now Geelong, we started these games with great pressure, but to me, it looks as if we couldn't either sustain that pressure or the opposition set up better and beat us at our game. Do you think this is a concern?
Well, we wouldn't be fucking dancing in the street. So, yeah, it's a concern. But it's also too, and this is something that you don't want to lose sight of. The games like Melbourne, that Melbourne game meant a lot more to Melbourne than it did to us. The reality is we've won 3 of the last 4 flags. Our Achilles heel is always the early part of the season. Why? Because all of our players understand that and they believe to the point, well, they're 100% convinced on it, that they know they'll make finals. The belief is total, and they know that they'll come home with a rush. So the negative of that, if there is a negative, is not that they don't give a shit about the game, is it's not like a final where they'll, kill themselves to make sure they win it. So, and you've got to also give credit to Melbourne and the other team. They played above themselves. Like Geelong played above themselves against us. Melbourne played above themselves against it. So what we showed is that first 15 minutes of Melbourne football was the most scintillating football anyone's ever seen. If we had maximised our inside 50s, we would have been in front by 6 goals. But from what I do know, this time of year we always increase our loads. That's not an excuse, it's just reality. So we've got to, and then you lay out the injuries on top of that. It's just, it just compounds the season. So, there would be concern, but there also would be a whole heap of confidence that we'll turn this around pretty quickly once we start getting our soldiers back.
Question for you without notice, Tiggs.
This comment sums up that perfectly. Everyone's grand final. Well done, PJ. Hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. Tell me that is smasher. Please tell me that's smasher.
What, PJ?
Yeah, the guy that does the hashtag we are everyone's grand final. Tell me that's smasher. Now, question for you, Tiggs.
Yeah, mate.
You might as well. Obviously, Bolton's been a talking point, and we'll talk about the positives. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super duper confident, Bolton, staying or going, my friend, re-signing or not?
15. Can I break the thing? Go to 15?
Go to 15, okay.
I know for a fact it's the only thing that actually, let me answer that properly. I'm a 10. The only thing that could make me change tack if a club stupidly came in and offered something like 1.1, 1.2. All I know is his signature on the dotted line? No. But what I do know is that he's happy with the terms that we've offered. I know that for a fact. One of my one source is never wrong, and Michael knows who it is, and you do a bit too, CB. I think I've shared it with you. It's the reason why, and it's the reason why it's broken. Every name I've broken, that it's come 100% correct. It's never been wrong, because when he sees what he needs to see, it means it's gone past the talking stage. So, we're just a smart club. We won't answer until just before the final series, I don't believe, because that's what gives us supporters a lift, gives us an emotional lift. If we're, 7th, 6th, 5th, and we need to win that extra 2 games, I wouldn't be surprised they announce it then. I know the players are fully convinced that he's staying, so he's staying. And then John Ralph basically quoted what we said on the podcast in that article in the West Australians, word for word. He's staying.
And just a special welcome to the Carlton supporter that I know and a St Kilda supporter that's infiltrated watching this live right now. You know who you are.
Oh.
Yes, they know who they are.
Welcome to all the listeners as well, by the way. Thanks for joining us. It's time for the preview, Tiggs, for this week's game versus GWS. Lead us into it, mate. Take it away.
Okay. Well, Both sides are heavily injured. GWS, obviously, they've just lost another backman, which is great for us. You know, I'm not wishing injury on them. But, look, they're a side that they were woeful at the start of the year. They found a level of competitiveness which has got them some easy kills. So it's not going to be a game we're going to breeze through. But if you really look at the competition that they've played, just recently Sydney, which was a good game, they beat Sydney, but it was like a showdown for them. Bulldogs beat them pretty easily. Adelaide, they smashed. Essendon, they just got over the line with. So I'm pretty bullish. What worries me with them is their forward line with Himmelberg. Their midfield, they've still got Ward in there. They've got Toby who can go in there, and they've got a few quality players. But in saying that, I've watched a fair bit of them this year, and Himmelberg, Hogan's another worry, actually. Sorry, Hogan's the other worry. But I reckon we've got the defensive line to contain them and rebound off them. They still don't run both ways. Not having Caniglio, or whatever you pronounce his name, hurts them. So what do you guys think? I think we shouldn't be $1.34 favourite. There's no way.
No, I wouldn't have thought.
I think no. If you're a gambler, I'm not. I'd recommend you put an extra 20 just for us losing. I expect us to win, but the odds are just ridiculous. But we owe them. We owe them a loss. And you know what they say? We don't normally lose second time up against the side. So I reckon, we're a good shot to win this. What do you reckon, Michaels?
It's a danger game. It's one that we absolutely have to win. So, as Lee Middleton actually put as well, that Big Nank should have a field day against Mummy. I can't believe Mumford's still an AFL ruckman, to be honest. But the midfield area is what worries me the most with the players we're missing versus the players they've got. I know they're missing some players as well, but they've still got some quality in there. And if they are allowed the time and space, they will hurt us more than Geelong hurt us. But we've just got to make sure defensively that we shore things up. I think we all agreed on Friday night that our midfield pressure on their ball carries was almost non-existent in that second half, and that's why Geelong had 20 marks inside 50. And it doesn't matter what team you play against. If you give them that, they're going to win more times than they lose. So if we can pressure the ball carrier a lot more, I think that's going to go a hell of a long way to getting the result this week. But I kind of agree with the Richmond journey about being on the smaller grounds. It could actually help us a little bit. We've tended to play those grounds a bit better this year. I know we spoke about it last week as well. So hopefully that comes into play and we can get a win, CB.
Yeah, look, I'm really worried about our midfield versus their midfield. I'll say it right now. I think Toby Green's probably the best player in the competition right now. I know he's kicking for goal hasn't been desirable, but he is absolutely torching anyone he comes up against at the moment, and his move into the midfield's been excellent for them. And he's going to cause us. He's like our nemesis, mate. He's our kryptonite, and he's going to cause some serious, serious problems for us this weekend. I agree. Mumford will towel him in a ruck, but that's why I think we need to play two rucks. Because I think if we can get that ascendancy with a weaker midfield, at least get the ball going our way and trap it into our forward line and hem him in. But Ward's playing well. Kelly's playing well. We spoke about Toby. I just think they've got us in the midfield, but I think our back line's better than their forward line. It's just a question of what can we do in our forward half and how we put it in there. Because, I mean, again, the amount of times we're dumping the ball on Tom Lynch's head on the weekend, it was 1v4. It was infuriating. So we've got to work out how to get the ball in there quicker, lock it in, and get that pressure and score. But it can't be all up on Tom or Jack. So there's a hell of a lot of work to be done, and it's a genuine 50-50 game is how I see this weekend.
And what about the
question for you, boys?
Oh, go on.
Before we go in ins and out, Tom, with Green, right? I agree with 100% what you said. I reckon this is the game where we need a full-time tagger. That's my belief, right? When you've got a weekend midfield, if he's playing in the guts, get someone that will sit with him in the midfield, that will sit with him in the forward line. No matter where he goes, just sits with him. Which player would you choose? I've got two. Baker's probably one physically but he hasn't got the body strength and he hasn't got the intelligence, and I'm worried about giving away too many free kicks. But I've got one that has the engine to go with him no matter where he goes. He's taller than he is. He's just as quick as he is. And, yes, we'd never seen him in the midfield, but if Toby Green's there, I reckon he could do something because he's a smart footballer. Marnie Warriors, we might lose too much in the back line without him in there. He's Grimes. And if it's not Grimes, put in Vlosten. As a full-time tagger, runs everywhere with him.
I'd sit Graham on him. In the midfield, I'd sit Jack Graham with him, who's big enough and strong enough to go with him. And if he goes forward, I'd put Dylan Grimes on him. Just lock him down. Shut him down.
He's like Dusty. He's that smart. My worry is the handover stage. You know, when Graham wants to hand over, he'll get loose during that period. I think because, look, for me, Vlosten looks like he needs to work into form. He was shit because his first game back, he basically had no prep. Mansell, no. Richmond Junior, I reckon he's too young for it still. I would put Vlosten. Vlosten, you know what, mate, you run around. I reckon he played midfield minutes. As a junior, he played a fair bit of midfield minutes. I reckon, what do you reckon, Michaels? Vlosten, a full-time tag, Toby?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't unsettle the back line. It would be interesting. I mean, I think Vlosten's got a lot to offer the team in a lot of different areas on the field. So I wouldn't be against seeing how it works given the circumstances with our midfield currently lacking a bit of depth in there. So, yeah, not the worst idea, but as long as it doesn't create imbalance down back, because, he's definitely a player that we have to shut down. He's quality, Tobes. Ins and outs, fellas. There's been a couple, at least one more chucked in that we weren't anticipating, but who are we just thinking it's going to be, Edwards and Bolton as the only two outs? Is that or do you see some other force changes happening?
You know what? I've been calling for Caddy and a second ruck for 3 weeks, and I haven't been getting them. So I'm not even going to bother with putting ins this week. I'm just actually keen to see. I'm actually curious to see what they bring in without me just guessing. I reckon there'll be 3 changes. I think you'll find there'll be more than Bolton and Edwards. I reckon there'll be 3 out and there'll be 3 in. But it's a question of how they try and structure up to stretch GWS or pressure them. And, I'm not going to bother the ins, but I just think there'll be 3 outs. And
who do you reckon
see how
the
it
third out
goes.
will be? Who's the third out?
Look, I hate to say, I think George might be injured.
Actually, that's not a bad call because he limped off, didn't he, at the end?
I reckon George might be crook. He hasn't been himself for 2-3 weeks, and he's normally got a better output than what we're seeing. So I reckon he might be the third out. Not because of any other reason. I think he's actually crook. So there you go. That's my third out.
Tiggs?
Yeah, similar to CB. Look, I love, Naisha obviously had a horror. So many players played below themselves that, if we didn't have the injuries we had, you'd probably have 3 or 4 changes just dropping them, right?
Yeah.
But we can't. So I'd probably see Hugo definitely will come in. I think it depends on Caddy's training form, because he's been injured.
And there was no VFL last week as well, which hasn't helped.
Yeah, it's got to be based on training form. They'll probably give him some match simulation, all that running, all that sort of stuff. I think Miller might get another crack. He might get another crack. But, yeah, again, it'll be guesswork, really. Look, one thing I hope they don't do is put Rioli in. I want to save him for dream time, just for the lift, and the romance of it. But we only had 9 tackles on the weekend. We're screaming out for pressure in the forward line. Yeah, he's not ready yet, but we're in. If George goes out, you have to put Rioli in. That, for me, you have to do it. You'd have to do it earlier than you wanted to. And he'll trouble their defenders. But other than that, I'll be guessing they've got, because they could only do 2 changes and just rotate the side around and give it a different look. Who knows? Yeah, I'll be guessing.
Can Naish play half forward?
In his junior, I saw a fair bit. Look, I'll tell you where my fascination of Naish comes from. His dad was my fucking hero. I loved him. I grew up watching all of his games, Richmond him and Roach, and Broderick and Nash. I love, Nash and Knight. So that's where my loyalty stems from. He's played predominantly at halfback because he's a beautiful user of the football when given time and space. His problem is translating his form into VFL. And we're always putting him as a wing, defensive winger, halfback flanker. But he's played forward as a junior. He's a crafty forward. His first game with us, he ran forward and scored that first goal, if you remember, with a cheeky snap. So I reckon if you said to him, mate, we need you forward, we need your pace, we just want you to tackle your brains out and try to shank something.
I think we need his skill level. I think we need his skill level kicking into the forward line is what we need.
Yeah, what we do. Look, what they've got to do, remember when in 17 when we had what started the chaos for us, we had, what was that big lad that had a concussion? Graham? Not Ben.
Big 24, Ben Griffiths,
yeah,
Biggie.
Griffiths, yeah, that's it. He went down, and then what we did, we knew we were going to get done with the high ball, so we went chaos scrubby. We didn't care for the ball. We wanted the ball on the ground, so we kicked it on the ground. I think we need to go back to that. I know we've got Big Lynch, so only hit him up on a lead. If you can't hit it, if you're going to hit it, you have to get past the defenders by kicking it high, either run the ball in or kick it along the ground or kick it to space. It's allow people to run onto it. That's going to have to be our modus operandi moving forward, I think. So we get our midfield back in.
We've been infiltrated by an Essendon supporter as well.
How do you know this? Do you know this because they're
I
all
just
telling me
know
this stuff? I'm sure I'm not the most popular one.
I'm going to guess it's this.
There it is. Yes.
I'm offended by the Boston Cap. I like the Boston Cap. No, it's good to see people from other supporters tuning in. Welcome, everyone. Key matchups this week, fellas. Tiggs, I'll give you this one first. Jack Rewald and Tom Lynch versus Sam Taylor and Isaac Cumming.
You always give me the forwards. I don't know why. Give me the forwards. I don't know what you want me to say, mate. Yeah, let's hope Jack and Tom will kick goals and Sam and Taylor will leak them. I don't know much about Isaac Cumming. Keith's down. I've not really seen much of Isaac. With GWS, it's hard. Yeah. That's all I got for you, mate.
No, fair enough, because I don't know who that is either. So hopefully we can exploit. I should have a bit more reason.
I don't know.
That's why I gave it to you, though, because I didn't know.
Yeah, of course you go to it. Yeah.
CB, Nathan Broad. I mean, I've put Nathan Broad, versus Toby Green, but I know we obviously discussed a bit earlier, but if you don't think Broad to Green and you think Grimes, how do you think that matchup will go?
In all honesty, I can see with Green, with the form he's in, we'll have a rolling defence on him. It won't be any one player. It will be, at some stage, Baker. At some stage, it will be Dylan Grimes. They'll rotate guys on him depending on the situation, I think. But it's just more the midfield. I would be more comfortable if we ran Jack Graham with him, just like he shut Slate. Like Graham has shut guys out of the games before when he decided to play as a tagger. And I would like Graham just to sit on him and hammer him at every opportunity in the midfield battle this week and really make his life hell. So that's what I think. Rolling defence when he's forward and Graham when he's in the guts.
Yeah, fair enough. And the last one for the midfield, I'll get both your thoughts. So Martin, Graham, Collier, Dawkins and Pickett versus Kelly, Hopper, Taranto and Ward.
We're outgunned there.
Yeah, look, it's going to be tough. But look, Hopper, Taranto, Ward, outside of Taranto, outside of Hopper, because Hopper for me is an inside jet. Taranto, Ward, Kelly, they kill you if given space. They do not like being pressured. What I mean is that close checking, hard at it, smacking into you. They don't like it. So if we can match Kelly in particular on the outside, if we can close Taranto's space because he's just a running machine. Ward, I'm not too concerned about. I think we've got some weapons too in Dustin Martin, and I really think our young kids give given a clear role and saying, "Don't worry about your own game. What I really want you to do is, develop your pressure side. Let's just smash into them." We've got Nankervis who smashes over their ruck. I don't think it's just going to be like a red flag. They're going to just go over the top of us. If we did give them the space, though, we're rooted. But that's my thoughts.
Fair enough.
Can I just say, all you pricks targeting me in the comments, just go easy.
I like this. This is good.
Bloody Tigs. Come on, there's someone else there.
I can't see anyone slagging you off, Brendan. I can see you typing on them, but who's slagging you off, son?
Yeah, I'll put it up there for you. There you go, Tiggs.
Why don't I get to see it?
Are you watching? I think because CB's watching it on his phone at the same time, I think, so he can see the comments come through.
I'm watching it on the phone. I'm watching the watches, mate. I'm watching the watches.
And CB, what was your take on the midfield battle?
Yeah, look, we're going to be outgunned, mate. It's going to be our half-back line is really going to have to fire this week because that midfield, that ain't competing with what's on paper coming at them. So we need to, like I said, bring in a second ruck to try and wear out Mumford, just like we did in the grand final back in 2019. Two big blokes just going over the top into him. But, yeah, our half-back line is absolute key this week. That's what I think. And for the Richmond journey, no to Joel. You know, we've had this discussion.
Just to fill you in on that, Tim. CB decided to pot Joel, and the Richmond Journey Facebook page has taken him to task and called him out on it. And there's been a bit of banter going back and forth all week. It's been quite funny. The midfield battle is going to be very, very
Smith and Joel. Never again.
It just needs to be, I think everyone agrees, it has to just be a team lifting effort compared to last week. And you would like to think the boys will respond after what they dished up in the second half versus the Cats. But it's a must-win game. We've got our work cut out for us. We'll see how we go. Let's get the margin and predictions. Anyone else listening, feel free to send through your margin and free kick prediction as well. Tiggs, what have you got? How much are we winning by?
Do me last, because what I'm going to do, if it's all right, before we end up, I'm going to give it on Twitter. I got some people, because I heard about this news before it broke out, and they've asked me to be a bit clearer. And something's not being said that actually happened that night that I want to make sure that people in this show actually know it's the truth. So do me last. It won't take long. It'll just I want to refer to, yeah.
All right, CV, what's your predictions?
Richmond by 4 points. Free kick count will be 21 to GWS, and we will get 12, and Toby Green will commit 6 of those offences.
I reckon, I'm saying Richmond because we bloody need to win. I reckon Richmond by 14 points, and GWS will get 24 free kicks, and we will get 16. Tiggs?
PJ Denham. Have you seen? Put up PJ Denham's call on the free kick count.
PJ. Oh, no, I've clicked the wrong button there. Hang on. Tigers by 17 free kicks, 39-7. Tell you what, it might be half a chance there, PJ. It might be half a chance the way we're going. Tiggs?
Yeah, for me, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that, Brendan, you've got such a beautiful smile, mate. You've got to smile more often, son. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, also, if anyone's wondering why I'm always putting something in my mouth, I'm trying to cut down the cigarette smoking. So that's my mechanism to explain that. Now, Bolton and Rioli, I can tell you something that what instigated was not like a touch or a push that the media said. That dude fed ink and slapped her in the ass, right? So that's how it all got sparked up pretty quickly. And it's walked up and just whacked her in the bum.
Right.
And the boys didn't take kindly to that, yeah. So, free kick count. GWS will be 26. Richmond will be lucky to get 9, 10. They've shown they're out there to just ruin us. And tip is Richmond, and I actually think we'll bounce back hard. I actually think they'll relish the challenge and we'll get over the line by about 3 points.
Really? Okay. Gee, well, hopefully we get the result we're
after. That wanker, he's got a Simo. Simo holds the record for the most games lost with it, or in the history of AFL, and bloody most games lost without a finals appearance or some shit. Get off my screen, you Carlton filth.
I'm renaming this post next week just the CB roast, and we'll just get all your friends in here to tee off on you. There you go, Tiggs. PJ, you've tried the vape, haven't you, Tiggs?
roasting me on social media. Great.
Oh, that's a bit fast. Someone just wrote, CB, show us your man titties. Lift your shirt.
All right. With that, we'll wrap it up there.
We're in a bra tonight too. Bullshit.
Thanks to everyone for joining in. I know we kind of did this without notice, mainly because we weren't actually sure if it was going to work or not. So it obviously has. Now that we know it will, we'll give this a bit more of a plug going forward. And you can see our ugly mugs every Monday night when we do our week.
And I'll make sure I dress up for it. I'll make sure
I bring up Andrew Wood's response to me roasting him, please. Just no.
Oh, hang on, no, I'll do that one.
Andrew Wood.
I'll hide that.
You'll love this, Tiggs. Yeah.
Peck support. Very good. Yeah, that's. I tell you what, we should actually, now that we know this works, we could even just do an off-the-cuff show where it's not even footy related, just talking shit, and people can just write stuff and tee off at us, and we'll just post all the comments for a laugh. But no, that's good. I'm glad this has worked out. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching us. We hope we've been somewhat entertaining. We'll definitely have another crack at this next week, and we'll try and keep the show a little bit shorter than an hour 5, but we've gotten carried away.
On that, boys, now we know this works and the camera works. I'll give you my word now. If we win the flag,
oh no,
actually not. If we make the grand final, win, lose or draw, I will take this phone with this app and I will go to Geelong. I'll go to Virginia Park and I will defecate. And if you night time, make sure I have the light on. I'll defecate on the driveway, right? Well, I'll find Joel Selwood's car park and that's where I'll go. Promise. That's what will happen.
I'll just say this, guys. So to all our listeners out there, you need to sort of spread the word a bit. So this will be every Monday night we're going to go live. But what we really need is, with our YouTube, we need to get we want to grow our YouTube channel a bit. So please, if we get some more subscribers, and then as we go through the journey, there'll be other shows and things that we're going to do through the year. So really important. So if you guys can like us on YouTube, that would be absolutely super and really appreciated.
Yeah,
thank you.
And share whatever you can. Thanks to Lee for highlighting I'm shit at Fortnite as well. That's much appreciated. Yeah, share us on whatever socials you can, and it's always appreciated the support we get. We do this for you guys, so this was CB's idea. I'll give him full credit for this to go the cameras, and it's worked, and we'll keep doing it. So thank you again for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all on Monday, and hopefully we get the win this week against the Giants. So until next time, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
We can actually wave to people. Yeah, we can wave.
Been a pleasure. Cheerio.
All right. Okay. So the broadcast is saying it ended.